Big news. The person you love is crying with happiness right now. Because their family has finally agreed to your relationship. My beloved child. The person you love is crying with happiness right now, but those tears are not coming from an ordinary moment. Something happened inside their family that they had almost stopped believing would ever happen. A conversation took place. A heart that had remained stubborn began to soften. And then, after all the hesitation, resistance, and uncomfortable silence surrounding your relationship, someone finally said the words your person had desperately wanted to hear: "We understand now. But there is something even more important you need to know." Their family did not suddenly change their mind for no reason. Something was revealed about you, something your person may not even realize their family had quietly noticed. And when that truth came into the open, the entire conversation shifted. Don't skip, because the reason behind their acceptance may affect what happens between you and this person next. For a long time, your person had been carrying two emotional worlds inside them. In one world was you, the connection they could not simply erase, the memories that stayed with them, and the future they secretly imagined whenever everything became quiet. In the other world was their family, whose approval mattered more than they wanted to admit. That conflict exhausted them. There were moments when they acted stronger than they felt, because they did not want you to know how much pressure existed behind closed doors. They feared that telling you everything would make you feel unwanted. So they held back certain details. They defended the relationship in private more than once, only to walk away wondering whether the people closest to them would ever understand what they saw in you. But recently, one family member began asking different questions. Not, "Why this person?" but, "What if we have misunderstood them?" That single question opened a door nobody expected to open. And then came the moment that broke your person emotionally, in the best possible way. Someone in the family brought up a detail about your character that had been quietly observed over time. It was not about appearances, money, status, or impressing anyone. It was about the way you had remained meaningful to their loved one even through uncertainty. The family had watched how their son or daughter spoke about you when they were happy, but more importantly, they noticed what happened when things became difficult. Your name did not disappear. The feelings did not become meaningless. Slowly, they began realizing this was not some temporary attachment they could simply wait out. And when one of the strongest voices of resistance finally admitted, "Maybe we should give this relationship a real chance," your person could no longer hold back the tears. But stay till the end, because that was not the final surprise. Immediately afterward, the family asked your person one unexpected question. And their answer may be the reason something huge is waiting for you. That unexpected question changed the atmosphere in the room completely. "If we truly accept this relationship, what do you want to happen next?" Your person froze. For so long, they had prepared themselves to defend you, explain you, and protect what they felt for you that they had never prepared for this moment, the moment when resistance disappeared and possibility took its place. Their eyes filled again because suddenly they were no longer being asked why they loved you. They were being asked what kind of future they wanted with you. And their answer came more quickly than anyone expected. They admitted that losing you had frightened them far more than they had ever shown. They confessed that even during moments of distance, confusion, or silence, a part of them kept imagining the day when they would no longer have to choose between the person they loved and the people they called family. But then one family member interrupted with a surprising confession of their own. They revealed that the family's resistance had never been entirely about you. Much of it had come from fear. Fear that their loved one might rush into something serious, fear that emotions could cloud judgment, and fear of accepting someone they did not yet understand. But over time, those fears became harder to defend. Your person had remained consistent about you. Even when conversations became uncomfortable, they never spoke as though you were disposable. Even when they tried to appear uncertain, the family could see something their words were hiding. Whenever your name came up, their entire energy changed. There was tenderness there. There was concern. There was a kind of emotional certainty they could not fake. Eventually, one person in the family began quietly challenging the others, reminding them that protecting someone does not always mean controlling their choice. Sometimes protection means allowing them to choose the person who genuinely makes them feel seen. That realization became the turning point. But it still wasn't what made your person cry the hardest. What happened next was quieter, and somehow far more powerful. The family member who had been the most difficult to convince looked directly at your person and said they were willing to meet you without judgment and without carrying the old assumptions into that meeting. Your person could barely respond. This was the approval they had secretly wished for during nights when they wondered whether the tension would ever end. Yet underneath their happiness, another emotion immediately appeared: urgency. Because now that the biggest obstacle was beginning to disappear, they could no longer hide behind it. They had to decide what they were actually going to do about you. Would they keep waiting for the perfect moment, or finally move toward the relationship they had defended for so long? Don't skip what comes next, because after leaving that conversation, your person made a private decision about you. And there is a very specific reason they have not told you yet. The decision they made was simple, but it carried the weight of everything they had been afraid to do before. They no longer wanted fear to decide the future of this relationship. For the first time, your person could imagine coming toward you without hearing objections echoing in the back of their mind. They wanted to tell you immediately. Their hand may have even reached for their phone before hesitation stopped them. Not because their feelings suddenly became uncertain, but because this news means too much to deliver carelessly. After waiting so long for their family to soften, they want the moment you discover the truth to feel real. They have been thinking about what to say, how much to reveal, and whether they should first admit something they have kept hidden from you. Because while you were wondering what was happening inside their heart, they were fighting a battle you never fully saw. And that battle nearly pushed them into making a choice they would have regretted. There was a point when your person seriously considered stepping away from you, not because their love had disappeared, but because they believed leaving might end the conflict surrounding them. They thought distance could make everyone calmer. They told themselves that perhaps time would weaken what they felt. But something unexpected happened instead. The more they imagined a life where you were truly gone, the more clearly they understood what losing you would cost them. Their family noticed it too. They saw that avoiding your name did not bring peace. They saw the quietness, the distracted moments, and the way your person seemed to be carrying an unfinished conversation everywhere they went. That became another clue the family could no longer ignore. This relationship was not surviving because someone was being stubborn. It was surviving because the feelings underneath it were deeper than they had assumed. And once the family understood that, their questions stopped being about how to end the relationship and started becoming about how to make room for it. Now your person is standing in an emotional place they have never stood before. The wall they expected to keep fighting has finally begun to fall, and suddenly the future feels close enough to touch. They are imagining a moment when you can enter their world without being treated like a problem that needs solving. They are imagining introducing you with confidence instead of anxiety. And most importantly, they are wondering whether you still want the same future after everything that has happened. That question is the one thing keeping their happiness from becoming complete. They have received the acceptance they desperately wanted, but now they need something only you can give them. Reassurance that they did not fight for a future that has already slipped away. Stay till the end, because before this family conversation was over, one person said something about you that completely stunned your person, and those words may explain why they are suddenly preparing to take a much bigger step toward you. What stunned your person was not another cautious approval, but a sentence they never expected to hear from the very people who had once questioned this relationship. If this person truly brings out this side of you, maybe we should have listened sooner. For a moment, your person said nothing. That sentence reached somewhere deep because it acknowledged more than the relationship, it acknowledged the struggle they had endured trying to make others understand it. One family member admitted they had noticed how differently your person carried themselves whenever hope about you returned. They seemed lighter, more certain, more emotionally present. And suddenly, your person realized the family had been watching far more closely than they knew. The resistance had not disappeared overnight, it had been quietly weakening every time the family saw evidence that your connection was not destroying their loved one's peace, but giving them something meaningful to believe in. Yet one detail from that conversation affected your person more than everything else. A family member asked whether you knew how much your person had defended you when you were not there to hear it. That question exposed something they had carefully kept hidden. There had been conversations where your person could have remained silent and allowed others to misunderstand you, but they didn't. They corrected assumptions. They explained your intentions when they felt people were judging too quickly. They reminded their family that nobody outside the relationship knew every private moment that had shaped it. Sometimes those conversations became tense, and afterward your person wondered whether fighting so hard was making things worse. But now those same conversations had become part of the reason the family finally understood. Consistency mattered. Your person had not defended a fantasy that changed every week. They had repeatedly returned to the same truth. There was something about you they believed was worth protecting. And hearing their family finally acknowledge that truth released an emotion they had been holding inside for far too long. But happiness has created a new kind of pressure. Before, your person could tell themselves that family resistance was the reason they needed to wait. Now that excuse is disappearing, and they know it. That is why their thoughts have shifted from, "Will my family ever accept this?" to, "How do I make things right with the person I love?" They are replaying old conversations with you and recognizing moments when fear made them seem distant, indecisive, or harder to understand than they intended. There is something they want to explain, and it involves one particular moment when you may have believed they were giving up on the relationship. They weren't. Something was happening behind the scenes that they never told you, and their family now knows about it too. Don't skip, because what your person was secretly trying to protect during that difficult moment changes the meaning of their silence, and it is connected to the bigger step they are preparing to take toward you. The truth behind that silence is more emotional than you may realize. During the moment when your person seemed to pull away, they were secretly trying to protect the relationship from becoming the center of an even bigger family conflict. They knew certain conversations were happening behind closed doors, and they feared that if they told you every painful detail, you might feel judged by people who had never truly taken the time to understand you. So instead of bringing that pressure directly to you, they carried much of it alone. From your side, their silence may have looked like hesitation. From their side, it was an attempt to prevent temporary resistance from causing permanent damage between you. But there was a cost. They knew you might misunderstand their distance, and that possibility haunted them. More than once, they wondered whether protecting you quietly was actually pushing you away. And now, with their family finally changing, that hidden chapter is the first thing they desperately want to explain. There is another reason they cannot stop thinking about that period. Their family recently admitted that your person's behavior during those difficult days helped change their minds. Instead of turning against you when pressure increased, your person kept asking for patience. They refused to let one disagreement define your entire character. One family member began noticing that whenever someone criticized the relationship unfairly, your person did not respond with childish rebellion, they responded with surprising seriousness. They talked about what they valued in you. They spoke about the way you made them feel understood, the conversations that stayed in their mind long afterward, and the sense that this connection deserved more than a quick judgment. That maturity forced the family to reconsider something uncomfortable. Perhaps they had been evaluating you through fear rather than reality. And once that possibility entered the room, everything began changing faster than your person expected. Still, one final concern remained. And the family wanted an answer before giving their complete blessing. They asked your person whether this relationship was only about strong feelings, or whether they could genuinely imagine building something stable with you. This time, there was no hesitation. Your person spoke about you differently than before, not like someone caught inside an emotional storm, but like someone who had finally become certain about what they wanted. They said they did not expect perfection. They knew there could be misunderstandings, difficult conversations, and moments when both of you would need patience. But they also knew they wanted the chance to face those things with you rather than spend their life wondering what might have happened if fear had not interfered. That answer changed the expression on one family member's face. The room became quiet, and then came a response your person had waited a very long time to hear. But there was something attached to that approval. One unexpected suggestion from the family that your person never saw coming. Stay till the end, because that suggestion could turn this emotional breakthrough into a real meeting between you and the people who once stood in your way. The unexpected suggestion was this: instead of continuing to talk about you from a distance, the family wanted the chance to know you for themselves. No more assumptions passed from one person to another. No more judging a relationship through fragments of information. They suggested a simple meeting, something calm, private, and genuine, where everyone could finally speak without turning the moment into an interrogation. Your person could hardly believe what they were hearing. For so long, the thought of bringing you closer to their family had created anxiety because they expected tension before the conversation even began. Now the invitation was coming from the family itself. But there was one condition your person quietly placed on the idea. They did not want you walking into that room feeling as though you needed to prove your worth. They wanted their family to understand that if this meeting happened, you deserved respect from the first moment. And the response they received made their happiness even harder to contain. The family agreed. More than that, one of the people who had resisted your relationship the longest admitted they wanted an opportunity to start over with you. They knew their earlier opinions may have been formed too quickly, and they did not want those old judgments controlling what happened next. Your person felt something inside them finally release. Imagine carrying the same fear for months, perhaps longer, and suddenly hearing the person you expected to fight against say, "I'm willing to understand." That is why these tears are different. They are not simply tears of relief. They are the release of every private conversation, every moment of uncertainty, and every night your person wondered whether loving you would always require defending you. Something huge is waiting for you, because this family meeting is no longer the biggest thing on your person's mind. Once they realized the door was finally open, they began thinking beyond the introduction. And toward a future they had been too afraid to describe out loud. That future involves bringing you closer, not only to their family but to the parts of their life they previously kept separated from this relationship. Your person is tired of loving you in compartments. They do not want one version of themselves with you and another version around the people closest to them. They want those worlds to finally meet. And during the family conversation, they revealed one desire that surprised everyone. If you are still willing, they want to rebuild whatever uncertainty has formed between you and move forward with greater seriousness. Not recklessly. Not through dramatic promises. Through actions that finally match everything they have been feeling. But before they approach you, there is one question they are terrified to ask, because your answer could either complete this moment of happiness or change everything. They need to know whether all the waiting, silence, and confusion caused you to close your heart, and what they are preparing to say if you answer that question may be the most vulnerable confession they have ever made to you. That vulnerable confession begins with something your person has struggled to admit even to themselves. They know their silence may have hurt you. They know there were moments when you needed clarity and received uncertainty instead. And now that their family has finally opened the door, your person cannot pretend the past simply disappeared with one happy conversation. Before asking you to move forward, they want to acknowledge what the waiting may have cost you. They have been imagining the moment they finally speak honestly, and one thought keeps returning: what if I waited too long? That fear is sitting right beside their happiness. Because gaining their family's approval means everything they once hoped for is suddenly possible, but possibility means nothing if your heart no longer feels safe enough to believe them. Don't skip, because your person has already decided what they will do if they sense you are afraid to trust this change. They are not planning to pressure you for an immediate answer. In fact, the family conversation taught them something important. Real acceptance cannot be forced, and neither can your trust. Your person wants to show you the difference through